Welcome to the lecture 8 of Predictive Analytics and Regression and Classification course. In this lecture, we are going to talk about the statistical inference of logistic regression. We figured out so far the logistic regression has two variants. One is logistic regression with logit link, which is log of p of over 1 minus p equal to x transpose beta, where p of over 1 minus p is also known as the odds of success to failure, and that is measured in log scale, log of odds of success to failure, which we are modeling as a function of different covariates. The second variant is logistic regression with probit link, where we model the p as a phi inverse of p equal to x transpose beta. Phi is the CDF of standard normal distribution. The question is, how do we do statistical inference for logistic regression? One immediate way of doing it is you first estimate the betas by estimating through a maximum likelihood estimation process. So first you write down the likelihood function, then maximize it, and the argument at which it maximizes, that is the maximum likelihood estimates, or you just maximize the log likelihood or minimize the negative log likelihood. That you can achieve using some kind of gradient descent algorithm that can be used to minimize the negative log likelihood function. Now one can show that square root of n beta hat minus beta converges to normal 0 omega. What does it mean? This is a very scriptic method of saying that if a sample size is large enough, if we have a just large enough sample size, then we can say that a beta hat, the maximum likelihood estimate, approximately follow normal distribution with mean beta with covariance matrix omega. And so this is my sampling distribution of beta hat, which approximately follow normal provided the sample size n is large enough. So this is very important crucial point. If you do not have large enough sample size, then you cannot make this assumption that beta hat follow normal distribution. So we can run the statistical inference of logistic regression in the same way we did for the simple linear regression model. In practice, we do not have to implement any optimization. There are two Python modules which implement logistic regression. One is the stats model, another is the scikit-learn. There is a built-in function called GLM in our package named stats. You can use whatever you find suitable to you. Let us consider a motivating example with iris flower dataset. It's a very old dataset but very popular to understand, which are being often used in particularly in classification problem. So there are three species of the flower: setosa, versicolor, and virginica. So iris is a particular kind of flower which has three subspecies: setosa, versicolor, and virginica. In the original data, there are four variables, four phenotypes of the flowers are being recorded: sepal width, sepal length, also petal width and petal length. Here I am just presenting you the sepal width and the sepal length, and each flower based on their species, if it is, I colored them based on their species. So if it is a setosa, I colored them blue. If it is a versicolor, I colored them red. If it is a virginica, I colored them green. Now question is, if you have a new flower, if I give you a new flower and I just tell you what is the sepal length and the sepal width of the flower, can you tell me whether the flower is a setosa or not? So this is the problem that I am proposing. So we have to identify the setosa. So given the sepal width, or more precisely the sepal width, if I just give you one phenotype, sepal width, from the sepal width, can you tell me what is the whether the flower is setosa or not? So we define y equal to 1 or 0 if 1 if the flower is setosa with some probability p, and 0 with, that means it's other species either virginica or versicolor with probability 1 minus p. So the logistic regression with logit-link model will be log of p over 1 minus p equal to beta naught plus beta 1 sepal width. So we fit the model on the data set, and the output is something like this. The coefficient beta naught is negative 15.72189. Beta 1 is 4.7896. This is the standard error. If you divide the estimate divided by the standard error, you will get the z value. If you divide 4.7896 by 0.8246, you will get 5.809, and then p-value are being computed exactly the same way we did for the simple linear regression model. The logistic regression with logit-link model will be log of p over 1 minus p negative 15.72. It is being rounded off to 2 decimal places, 4.79 times the sepal width. Then what I have done, I actually went back and looked into the possible values of the sepal width. Most of the values of sepal width is somewhere between 2 and 5. So I created a small grid between 2 and 5, and each of the grid value I plugged here, and that gives me the log of odds of p over 1 minus p, and from there I computed the value of p. The p will give me probability of if the particular flower has a sepal width of a particular value, what will be the probability that the flower is a setosa. So now you can see that up to sepal width of size 3, the probability is very small, below 0.2, but then it increases sharply by 3.5, it reaches near 0.8, and as it increases, it is very highly likely that the flower will be setosa. Now if you go back to the flower thing, you see that between 2 and 3 there is almost only a one flower which is setosa, but as soon as it crosses 3, it is most of it is highly likely that it is setosa, with very few after 3.5, very few are virginica. Most of the flower are actually setosa. So after 3.5, most likely it is the flower is going to be setosa, and between 3 and 3.5, it is also likely that compared to the others that it is going to be setosa. But below 3, there is highly unlikely that it is going to be setosa. Below 3, it is most likely that either it's a versicolor or virginica. And we are seeing that this is kind of getting reflected in this curve. This is the typical fitted elongated edge logistic regression curve. Now once you fit, then we would like to evaluate the performance of the model. How we evaluate the performance of the model? The first thing you check for the something called confusion matrix, which is a very popular in machine learning. So true y, there are 4 possible. When you make a decision, there four possible outcome can happen. You predicted y equal to 1 means it is a positive results, and if it is true value is also y equal to 1, then it's a correct decision. If you predicted y equal to 0 and turns out that true y is also 0, then also it is a correct decision. On the other hand, if you predicted y equal to 1 but turns out actual y is 0, then it's a error, one kind of error. And if you predicted y equal to 0 but turns out to be y equal to 1, this is the second kind of error, or error 2. The same confusion matrix in statistics literature, often known as with a slightly different name, if your test, if you tells you that y equal to 1, the positive, then and actually it turns out to be positive, then we call it true positive. If you predict negative and actually turns out to be negative, then it's called true negative. And if you test says positive and but actually it is not positive, it is negative, then it's called false positive. And if the test says negative but actually it is not negative, then it's called false negative. This is an interesting picture which tells us about what is false positive or type 1 error and what is false negative or type 2 error. I have taken this picture from this source. So if you look into this picture, it's saying that you are running a pregnancy test on a man, and if it says that you are pregnant, then it is called, the test is saying the positive, you are doing test for pregnancy, the test turns out to be positive, that means test is saying that the patient is pregnant, and turns out to be the patient is man, then we know that it's a wrong answer, so it's a false positive or type 1 error. On the other hand, if you know that there is a woman who is going to deliver a baby in very soon, is pregnant, visibly she's pregnant, and the test is saying that you are not pregnant, that means test is saying that it's a negative results, then this kind of result is called false negative or type 2 error. Now I am going to talk about three different measures of accuracy of the test performance. One is called precision, and another is called recall, and the third is called F measure. What is precision? Precision is a fraction of correct positive prediction. So precision is true positive divided by true positive plus false positive. If you go back, so you see true positive divided by true positive plus false positive. So fraction of true positive out of how many positive you are making. So if you was making true positive, so if you are making say 100 of true positive, out of positive prediction that you are making, how many of them are actually correct. Next is true recall, which is true positive divided by true positive plus false negative. So it's a fraction of true positive divided by true positive plus false negative. So out of actual true positive, how many are actually being predicted as positive? Conceptually, you can see that precision and recall are diagonally opposite. It is very difficult to make a judgment which one is the correct thing, which one to look for, and it is little bit difficult to optimize precision and recall both together given a given a constrained sample. So oftentimes what people does, they take the harmonic mean of precision and recall, so which is 2 times precision times recall divided by precision plus recall. So that is called F measure. The measure based on the confusion matrix are specific to the binary classification problem. There is another measure which is very popular, particularly in the model selection, called Akiaki information criteria, which we discussed in for the simple linear regression model. The generic behavior of the AIC made it possible for us to apply it in the logistic regression model. The logistic regression model with logic link will be of this form. Suppose L beta hat x be the maximum value of the likelihood function of the model. So AIC value of the model is 2p minus 2 times log of likelihood of beta hat y comma x. So given the set of candidate models for the data, the preferred model is the one with the minimum AIC value. Akiaki information criteria can be used to choose the best model the way we did for in the simple linear regression model. The advantage of AIC is one significant advantage of AIC is the measure is a problem and model agnostic. Whether it's a regression model or logistic regression model or Poisson regression model doesn't matter. You can always come up with AIC measure of any model or any problem as long as you can write down the likelihood function. If you can write down the likelihood function, you will be able to compute the AIC. It means for any problem, if you can precisely write down the likelihood function, as I said, then AIC estimation is automatic for that model. AIC is an estimator of out-of-sample prediction error. Therefore, it represents the quality of statistical model for a given set of data. Logit model has an equivalent formulation p equal to 1 by 1 plus e to the power minus x beta or beta naught plus beta 1 x1 plus dot 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 beta p xp. This functional form is commonly called single layer perceptron or single layer artificial neural network. Logistic regression is a special case of single layer neural network which are nowadays becoming very popular, particularly in the deep network and all these things. So we can say that logistic regression is sort of a building block to deep learning neural network. Multicollinearity issue you can face in the logistic regression as well. Logistic regression can suffer from multicollinearity issue. In such cases, you have to apply ridge correction that we applied in case of simple linear regression. Unfortunately, straightforward mathematically closed form solution for logistic regression is not available. However, the Python and R packages are available which implement ridge correction for logistic regression very efficiently. So you really don't have to worry about the how to handle multicollinearity in logistic regression. In practice, in Python, logit in the stat models module, logistic regression in scikit-learn module, and logistic regressor in the TensorFlow module are available. In R, there is a GLM in the stats package and GLM net package for an efficient implementation of regularized logistic regression. So if you want to implement the ridge correction on the logistic regression, then you must use the GLM net package to take care of the multicollinearity issue in the logistic regression. Now I close this lecture on logistic regression here. Thank you for your attention.